Alright, y'all, welcome to another video, Big Miklo Reacts. This one's going to be about Deandre Ayton and the Lakers. If anybody has been following the Lakers recently, you've obviously seen Deandre Ayton no-shows as a regular occurrence now. It's kind of weird how all of a sudden he just fell off the face of the earth, nowhere to be seen. He's having games with 0 rebounds, no blocks, hardly any points. He can't finish any dunks. What the hell happened to this guy? I thought we were getting another steal #1 overall pick. Played really strong at the beginning of the season, but all of a sudden, this guy wants to disappear when we need him the most. Let's figure out what's going on.
They warned us this would happen.
They did.
Blazers fans, Phoenix fans, even Colin Cowherd might have been right. Because it seems no matter how talented Deandre Ayton is,
and
no matter who he's playing with, no matter where he's playing, or no matter what he's playing for, some things just don't change.
He splits it to Eve. Ayton was watching.
Bro,
Good job. Now Trey, tag yourself.
God, that pisses me off. Deandre Ayton, you could just tell he does not enjoy the game of basketball. He is just a guy that grew up really tall. They put him in basketball young. He got pretty good at it, pretty coordinated, pretty decent, and just fell into it. A lot of money. I'm going to just stick with it. But does he really love the game? You could tell he doesn't really. He's been the same player from his rookie year to now. There's really no difference in his game. And to me, that just screams this guy really just doesn't care at the end of the day. And it drives me insane.
Ayton was kind of flat-footed, and he beat him. And that has been the knock on Ayton since he came in.
His motor, lack of motor.
And he's headed to the bench right now. Jackson Hayes checks in.
You heard the Pelicans commentators on that clip.
What is that?
Everyone knows it. Everyone sees it. It doesn't matter that Deandre Ayton is 7 feet tall with great touch, incredible athleticism, and all of the skill in the world to be one of the best big men in the league if you make plays like this. We know exactly what happens to you when you do this.
Hustle,
you get benched, and soon after, you get moved to a different team. And according to Jake Fisher, that might happen sooner than we think. I don't think anyone in that Lakers building sees Deandre Ayton as their long-term answer at center, or as the pick-and-roll rim lob threat that Luka Doncic will grow old with in Hollywood. And
oh no, if anything, this guy's going to be a very realistic trade candidate. If anything, he's probably going to get packaged with Rui, packaged to Cleveland in a 3-team deal, and we're just going to see if we can weave in Brooklyn somehow or some weird thing. And the way that this guy's been playing, we really have no use for him. He's still a young guy. I really don't know how many other teams are going to give him the opportunity that we just did, because if you can't carve out a successful role in the NBA playing next to Luka, I don't know how many other teams are going to take you. You had a chance to be the starting center for the Lakers playing with Luka as your point guard, and you seem to somehow fumble that. How the hell are you going to go to any other team that's going to have much less passing around him? You have Luka, you have Austin, you have LeBron. All 3 of those guys are playmaking passers, and you still couldn't figure it out. I don't see any other role that he can go to. If he's going to go to any other team, he's going to come off the bench. If anything, he better go upstairs and tell everybody, hey, I'm willing to come off the bench for you guys going forward and just keep me around on this little $5 million contract, because that's all he's been playing like so far. There's no way he's going to pick up with another team and jump right into their starting role. Not like this. You can't even play with Luka.
When I say it doesn't matter who he's playing for, it doesn't even matter the environment in which he's playing, because we saw this happen in Phoenix against Denver in the playoffs of all places, where Ayton just stood there frozen in time, watching as Nikola Jokic tipped the ball to himself not once, not twice, but 3 times before uncharacteristic.
To be fair, KD's another center out there, 7 foot plus. I mean, standing next to Joker, I mean, the guy is still towering over Joker.
Missing. But during that whole time, Ayton didn't even bother to contest. And there are 2 ways to look at these clips. You can say Deandre Ayton is lazy, he's weak,
JJ's
he's soft,
watching
or
that.
you can say he has serious lapses in concentration. Whichever way you look at it, the NBA is not a place where you can afford to do either of those
No,
things.
dude.
And unfortunately,
We're trying to
Deandre
win.
Ayton has made a habit of doing this his entire career.
Yes.
Whenever a team willingly pays money to get a 27-year-old player off their team, a team that is still looking to win, you know something's wrong. You know something's really wrong when that guy is still capable of giving you 15 and 10 on any given night.
He really
and this is the
could.
worst part about Deandre Ayton.
He's super
It is
skilled.
the hope that kills you. Because I'll put my hand up right now and say, I believed he could change. Just like anyone believing that guy who cheated on his last 3 girlfriends won't cheat this time. No, I'm different. He's different. We're in LA. Luka Doncic is playing.
we fell
LeBron
for
James. JJ Redick believes in Deandre Ayton. He's wearing LA. Luka Doncic is playing. LeBron James. JJ Redick believes in Deandre.
This is where we really fucked up. This is the guy we should have ended up with, Mark Williams. How stupid do we look now backing out of that Mark Williams trade? We could have given up Dalton Connect for Mark Williams. Mark Williams and the Suns are killing it right now. All that health concern that the front office was worried about, that we threw away his physical and said, health issues. Look at him. Luka would kill to have a lob threat like Mark Williams right now. Again, this is a common issue with the Lakers front office. Something that they need to address internally with how they evaluate players, how they evaluate medical exams. Something is off because this was such an easy opportunity. They had the player. They had him. They traded for him. They completed that deal. Maybe they had buyer's remorse after giving up that first round pick with Dalton Connect. But look at the result. Our biggest need is basically the center position right now. We need a lob threat for Luka who's going to protect the basket. Ayton isn't a lob threat, and he doesn't protect the basket. This is on the front office.
And he's wearing his shirt to practice. Deandre is saying all of the right
Trying to
things.
hype him up.
He's going to change for me.
You know, get back to the person I was and just contribute the best way I can to fit in. We're here for one thing, and that's win the championship.
He doesn't even believe it. He doesn't even believe himself at this
I'm
point.
not taking this for granted.
Coach told us he's planned for it to be a bad day.
And y'all bought into that.
We just listened to him.
Told him.
Believed him.
I'm not going to tell y'all.
Look at that guy. That guy looks homeless, disheveled now. Like, what the hell? What got into this guy? Like, this guy just doesn't give a fuck anymore. This is crazy.
And I bought into all of the hype about Deandre Ayton in LA.
We all did.
And the reality is, he hasn't been terrible this season. In fact, you could look at the numbers and suggest he's been great for his price. 14 points per game, 8 rebounds, a career-high shooting percentage. But unfortunately, unlike the most successful role players in the NBA, who take the shots they get and then they do everything they can to make an impact, rebounding, playing defense.
The problem is his mistakes are so loud. That's the problem. It's not that his production is bad. His production's honestly not that bad. But when he messes up, it is so loud and it's so like stark at the difference of a player we have versus another center who's busting his ass on the other end. It makes you want to get rid of the guy. I'm sorry. Like, he's having much better numbers than Jackson Hayes, and he'd probably be a much better backup than Jackson Hayes. Yet we would still rather keep Jackson Hayes right now.
It's doing all of the little things that get you paid a lot of money. Ayton,
He's not going to get paid a
he's
lot of
just
money.
not one of those guys.
You know, bigs can't feed themselves, and you know, I just try my best to do what I can, you know, to bring effort. I trust my playmakers out there to find me.
We're in a day and age where there's now lob threats. There's guys that get it off the rim. There's guys that do so many other things outside of having to get fed in the post. If you're a center that only needs to get fed in the post in order to be productive, you're not going to stick around for that long because there's so many things that the big needs to do in order to... He could have half of those points, but if he's busting his ass, blocking shots and getting rebounds, we'd be so happy right now to have that. Keep his 14 points. We don't even need that. What we need is you to get those rebounds, block some shots. That's it.
And why am I showing you this clip? Because there is almost a direct correlation between how much effort Ayton plays with and how often he gets the ball. And we made excuses for that when he was young and in Phoenix, and when he was actually seen as one of the best young players in the league. Someone who you would want to give the ball to and try to develop and grow. Deandre Ayton is 27 years old now. He's playing on a team with 3 guys significantly better and more productive than him. He was bought out by his last team. Look around the league. Get some perspective, Deandre.
Right.
Because Jakob Poeltl, Isaiah Hartenstein, Miles Turner, Jared Allen, all of these guys are getting paid twice or 3 times the amount of Deandre. Do these guys score more points than him?
No.
Not really. Are they more skilled offensively than him? None of them are. Do they compete on defense almost every single night and make an impact when the ball isn't in their hands? Do they set hard screens and play their role? Yes. They do.
That's all you
of
gotta
those
do.
things. And what makes this situation even more frustrating is we have now seen it in every single environment. We saw it when he was young in Phoenix with Chris Paul and Devin Booker and how they grew tired of him. Then he went to a place in Portland where there was no expectations, there was no pressure, and he had the opportunity to get some touches and some opportunity. They grew tired of him. And now he goes to LA, a chance to revive his career in the biggest market with one of the most talented players and point guards ever, alongside LeBron James, JJ Redick, a coach who believes in him, and they're getting frustrated of him as well. And you know what? So am I. Because it is fine to have all of this talent and all of this potential, and sure, you can put up your 14 points a game and say you didn't get enough touches and you could do more with those touches. This is the NBA. The reality is, if you are not Luka Doncic or LeBron James, even Austin Reeves has to sacrifice.
Luka went to the championship. Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. None of those guys have the same touch skill around the basket as Deandre Ayton. Yet, so much more successful and at this point preferable as a partner to Luka than what Deandre Ayton's giving. And the messed up part is, if Deandre Ayton really wanted to, he could do those things that Derek Lively and Gafford are really good at. He could get rebounds. He could average a double-double every night with blocks if he really tried. That's the crappy part. This guy could definitely do that. And instead of wanting to rebuild his reputation around the NBA, he wants to just he wants to slack off, blame other people for not getting touches, and just kind of piss off all of his teammates. Like, he's gonna be a bench player or out of the league really soon here if he can't figure it out here in LA this season. He's gonna have to have a really good turnaround in the second half to reclaim his to reclaim any of this value that he's left on the table.
Deandre Ayton is not above sacrificing, but he seems to think he is. And you know what's bad? When the Lakers are choosing to close games with Jackson Hayes instead of him. And this is what Lucas said about Jackson Hayes. I love playing with him down the stretch. I think we have a great chemistry. Obviously the pick and roll, but like I said, 2 to 3 games ago, he's improved so much in everything. Really glad that he's on the team. And I'm not going to be one of those guys and say, oh, Luka Doncic is taking shots at Deandre Ayton because he's mentioning this about Jackson Hayes. No, he just shouldn't be talking about Jackson Hayes closing games and talking about the little things and how Jackson Hayes is actually good in the pick and roll. Jackson Hayes is a backup NBA center. I'm not calling him a bum. That's just the reality. He is a backup center with a very limited skill set. A skill set so much more limited.
You give Luka even an elevated version of Jackson Hayes, a la a Nick Claxton or someone of that, who can run, jump, block shots, protect the rim. He's going to turn that guy into an all-star easily. Anybody who has any real, who just has an elevated skill set to Jackson Hayes, but in that same, but as in that same mold, is going to thrive. I could only imagine the amount of centers that would line up to play with Luka if they have the opportunity. Because he's making Jackson Hayes seem like an actual NBA starter at times.
Than Ayton, but what does he do? Which Ayton Ayton doesn't do consistently. He plays with effort, he doesn't sulk if he doesn't get the ball, and he rolls hard to the rim. The Lakers didn't even want to re-sign Hayes. They were looking around. Anyone? Anyone else? Can we sign anyone else? Fine, Jackson, we'll bring you back. And now he's closing games in front of their marquee free agency signing, a guy who was the #1 overall pick at one point in time. And let's be honest, if you can't play well in the biggest market in the league, with one of the best point guards and 3 of the best offensive players in the league, with the pressure to actually win yourself a new contract, not just the pressure of the fans and the environment, but money on the line.
It's not going to work out anywhere.
If you can't deliver in this situation, where else can we expect Deandre Ayton
It's not going to work out anywhere. You're going to be the third stringer.
We should have seen it coming, considering this is who he has always been.
All right, guys, let me know what you think. Do we think Deandre Ayton is going to figure it out, turn his play around, and stick around in this league, get himself another big contract? Or is this it? Is this his final show? Is he kind of showing everybody he's just a waste of time? Nothing more than just a bench player that's going to get a lot of buckets if you just feed him the ball all the time, or just not hustle if you ignore him. There's been a lot of players in NBA history that have come out of that mold, that have seen themselves out of the league. First one that comes to mind, Melo. And Melo was a much greater player than Deandre Ayton ever was. Melo needed the ball. He was aging. NBA offenses were evolving. Melo had an attitude where he wasn't able to take a reduced role, come off the bench, be a team player. Melo had like a 2-3 year gap where he just wasn't even in the NBA. DeAndre Ayton's about to be down that same path without anything near the same production as Carmelo gave everybody. So it's not looking good for the guy. I really hope he turns it around. The Lakers really need him. They really need his potential as a player, and they really need him to kind of fulfill that, or else he's going to be out of the league really quick. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.